y'all, it's Ashley from I Have Plans for You. I'm back with another video. This will be my August bullet journal setup video. I have my square Archer and Olive notebook here, and you see I've kind of sketched out the majority of the spread here, but there are some elements that I do like to go straight in with brush pen for. Those are the Terrazzo monograph pencils from Tombow, and that's what I use to sketch in. I also have a kneaded eraser, and I left the sketch darker so you could kind of see it before I got ready to go in and outline everything. And I'm gonna go in ahead with the kneaded eraser and kind of get rid of those marks and lighten them up a little bit so that they don't peek through the line work that we're going to do. So now I'm showing you the Tombow dual brush pens that I'm using in this spread. So these are the pens that I'll be using to color in and then do the lettering and the flower work. I have these colors here. Of course, I will also put the numbers down in the comment box. And then I also have a Tombow hard tip Fudenosuke brush pen. This is the one that's closer to the size of traditional calligraphy, and I like to use these. I keep these in my pencil pouch all the time, and I have a video on that, so you can go check it out too if you want to know what's in my pencil pouch. But now I'm going to go ahead and do my lettering, and I'm just gonna letter the word August in this kind of lighter brown color. And if you're interested in learning how to letter like me, then I do have a brush lettering basics course. It's completely self-paced. It's on my website at www.ihaveplansforyou.com. It's jam-packed with value, you all. I created this course by myself. It's based on the courses that I teach in person, but I had so many people ask about me teaching something online, so I created this course. I also include my workbook. It's a full workbook that teaches you the connections, every letter, all of your basic practice strokes, and there's also some Procreate pieces. So if you want to learn how to letter on your iPad, then I also add those things in there as well. It's jam-packed with value, so go check it out if you're interested. Now I'm using this pink. It's like a dusty rose pink color that I love so much in this Tombow marker. I'm using the bullet tip this time, and contrary to what it looks like, I am going extremely slow with this kind of like drop outline. You all have seen this before. I do this drop outline all the time, and I've noticed that I have to go slower to do the outline than I do to actually do the lettering, because I'm very focused on making sure that that outline is the same distance away from each of the letters. And you see, I'm doing the kind of drop outline. Think of it as a shadow, and I'm doing it to the right bottom. So remember, when you're doing your shadows and outlines, if you're doing them in this kind of style, then you want to keep them consistently on the same side. So you see me doing that here. And I really like how this turned out, but you'll see I'm gonna go back and forth with color to make sure that the colors on both pages are balanced, and it's kind of the vibe that I want it to be. So this whole collection, or this entire spread, is based off of my class collection. And if you log in and get the brush lettering basics course, then you will also get a coloring sheet to download of the class collection motifs. So I drew all of these out, and if you're an email subscriber, then you'll see that I have an entire post in our community chat that's completely free for you to be an email subscriber. But you'll see I have an entire post of how I set this up and what the drawing and illustration and bringing it over into Procreate and all that was. Go check that out. Signing up for emails is completely free, and then I don't send a lot of emails, so that's just another way to stay in touch and to support the channel for free. So head over and do that. But I'm doing this really inky style with this Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen, and you can see why this is one of my favorite brush pens, particularly this hard tip, because I can get super detailed lines, but then I can also push a little harder and get variations in the line width. And this syrupy kind of scripty style, I just think it's so elegant. I started doing this back in January of this year, and you can see that in the line work for the boxes that I did. And I've been carrying this on every time I decide to do kind of like this dainty little feel in my spreads. And even I've brought it on over to my artwork, and it's included in some of the collections and new notepads in the shop too. I am like completely obsessed with this style. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just outlining all of the little motifs, and like I said, these came straight from the class collection. The class collection is kind of like getting ready for back to school, but for students, moms, and teachers. So it's a little bit more classy and chic than your typical kind of like back to school fun pencils and bolder colors. And so that's also why I chose these more muted but kind of sophisticated, softer colors for this spread as well. To create this syrupy style, you just press down when you want to and lift up when you want to. Remove the pen from the page, add a few dots in there. It's actually super simple, and it's easier than creating straight lines because you can kind of mess up, if you will, and still just pick that pen up and press it back down in the right spot. And you'll see, especially when I get to the other side of the page, how I do that to create the calendar. So now I'm over at the calendar, and I'm going to just outline it with those same scripty looking syrupy strokes with this Fudenosuke tip brush. And you see, I'm just picking my pen up whenever I feel like it, whenever it gets overwhelming to feel like I'm not going down the line properly. I just pick it up, and then I add a few dots in there. I'm trying to make sure too that I don't have kind of like breaks in the same spots for lines that are right beside each other, and that helps to create this more organic feel as well. But you see, even if you make a little squiggle, then you just pick that pen up and you're good to go. These lines look so elegant and soft and scripty, and like you just really did something that was a huge deal. But these are super simple and easier, like I said, than straight lines. This time, if you've been following my Bujo setups too, you see that I went ahead and did the numbers for the days of the week. And if y'all have been following, you know that pretty much every one of my Bujo spreads, I've kind of messed up somewhere with the days of the week. And this time I went ahead and put the numbers there. And this is the first spread, you all, that I did not mess up at all. I did not make any mistakes, but it's because I actually put the numbers there to make sure that I, got them right. So now I always like to add a little quote, and I wanted this quote to be back to school related or learning related. So I found this beautiful quote by B.B. King, and it says, "The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you." I just thought that was so sweet and so purposeful for this spread that was kind of gearing up for back to school, and a nod to the class collection for the shop. So you see, I'm kind of using the brush tip of the pen to create the brush lettering, and you're seeing too what I meant by this brush pen is more similar to the size of a traditional calligraphy pen. And you're seeing that with the brush pen strokes that I'm doing. But then you can also take this pen and turn it straight up and not press down too hard and get just a beautiful small line width. And you saw I did that for beautiful and learning because I wanted those words to stand out. So if you read this from afar, you would kind of just see beautiful learning. And that's the vibe of this spread as well. If you notice here too, I haven't actually crossed my T's and dotted my I's. And that's because in real time, I'm kind of determining how I wanted to do that. So sometimes I use, like the squiggly line like you saw on August, and other times it's more appropriate and kind of looks better to do the straight line. And you see right when I got to it is when I determined how I wanted to do that. And I just wanted to show you all that you don't have to have it all figured out when you start the quote or you start the lettering. Sometimes you don't dot your I's and cross your T's and all those other kind of things until you see what the lettering really looks like, and then you decide later on. And so I'm going back and doing all of those crosses and dots now. And then I want to give credit to BB King for the quote. I just thought this was so cool that the quote came from BB King too. So that's the quote for this spread. I'm going back in and writing in those numbers that we talked about before. And you see again, I'm just going in with the tip of this Tombow Fudenosuke pen, and you get this very nice, light, thin line weight. This pen is so versatile. Like, I'm not a Tombow ambassador or anything, but Tombow, if you're listening, I'd like to be. But this is my favorite brush pen. Because of this, I keep it, I have 10 of these that I keep in every bag. This is the coloring card that I was mentioning. Every sticker order from the shop actually gets this as well. So if you order stickers, you get that freebie coloring card. If you don't order stickers and you go straight to the Brush Lettering Basics course, it's already in there for you to download. Now I'm going to go in with those Tombow markers and we're going to color with them. One reason I love these markers is the brush tip makes it feel like you're painting, and the colors glide beautifully on the page. The other reason why I love these Tombow markers is that you can layer them and get a darker color. And so that's what I kind of did on the notes notebook. So on the front, I was very careful to make sure I was just getting one layer of color. And then on the back, I went in with another layer, and you see it's a darker blue. The other thing is the streakiness of these Tombows you can use to your advantage. And we'll see that when I get into coloring the flowers. Of course, this is not an I have plans for you spread if I do not do any flowers. And I love doing brush pen, brush marker flowers, and leaves. So I'm being very careful here to choose my colors and make sure that the colors are balanced on the page. So I have, a few different colors that I showed you all earlier, but I want to make sure that not too much of the same color or even the same value. So not too many lights and brights on one side or the top or the bottom. I want to disperse them evenly and equally throughout the page. And you're seeing real time again, I'm deciding on these colors, and I'm only coloring on this side because this side has to be colored, whereas the other side doesn't necessarily have to be. But I'm going to determine how I want those colors on the other side to look a little bit later. Inside of this clipboard, I'm just writing be kind, do good, and smile. And then I went back in with yellow check marks. So here we are to our brush pen flowers, and you all have seen me do these flowers before. I really like to do these kind of miniature flowers very similar ways. So I go in with the outline, and I'm doing that with that dusty rose color this time. And then I take the streakiness of the marker and kind of outline the way that the petals are laying. So you want to do this coloring in to show how the petals are actually falling. So don't just like color sideways, actually color in the direction that you want those petals to go, and that will kind of help the cohesiveness of these really to look like flowers and petals. So on the bottom, I'm doing 4 flowers with 1 flower that's kind of like tilted upward. And you'll see what I mean when I lift the pen up here. At the top, I did 3 flowers. I do tend to like to vary the number of flowers and just help it look more organic. The shape of the flowers, the shape of the petals. Don't really, think too much about it because you want it to look more organic than perfect. Now I'm gonna go back in with that same brown that I did August in, and you see me just stippling or like dotting really quickly, using the brush tip at first, the stamen of the flowers. So this is just the first layer that we're going to put down. And remember I said with these Tombow markers, one of my favorite things about them is that you can go in and layer the colors and get kind of like a shadow. So I put that top back on the brush pen side, and then I'm using the bullet tip to kind of add some shadow around the stamen. And you see that at the top, and now I'm doing it at the bottom as well. I'm gonna go back in with that same dusty pink color to add shadows and more kind of like detail lines on the actual flowers as well. So I'm doing that for all of the flowers, and I like to do all of the same thing at one time. So you saw me put the base color for the flowers down, then the base color for the stamen down, and then the stamen shadow, and now I'm doing the flower shadow. And that's because it kind of like your muscle memory is kind of already going. You see I'm doing a little bit of extra shadow to make it look like some of those petals are kind of turned in a little bit. If you want me to do another tutorial of flowers like this, then I will do that. I do have a tutorial of leaves coming up. I posted a post on Instagram of my favorite kind of like go-to brush pen leaves to do, and there were some requests to actually make a YouTube video showing you how I do that. I haven't recorded that video yet, but it will be after like 2 videos after this one. But let me know if you want me to do another video of flowers. So I'll do that too. I do have one from last year in September that shows you a bunch of different brush pen flowers. So if you want to go check that out in the meantime, then by all means do that as well. But now I'm taking this kind of like, it's not really an olive green. It's somewhere between olive and a true like light green. And I'm doing some of those brush pen flowers here, but these are super tiny. With these brush pen markers, because of that brush tip, you can actually do a painterly leaf. And these are so relaxing to do, you all. Like, I can't wait to record that video so that you all can practice these leaves and learn how to do them. The leaves are probably the most relaxing thing to do out of the entire flower. And I'm adding those on the bag. Of course, I'm going to add them in the flower bouquets. And with the flower bouquets, I'm just adding greenery where it seems empty. I do really like the look of the leaves poking out of the bouquet as well. So you're seeing me do that here as well. I'm going to add these leaves to the cup as well. On the coloring sheet, there's actually a flower on the cup, but I was able to zoom in on my iPad and add the detail for those flowers. I can't zoom in real life, so I just added the leaves and not the whole flower to the cup. So now that I'm finishing up with these leaves, I'm still kind of looking at it and it feels like I can feel a little bit of the space. So I'm gonna take that periwinkle color and just add these little dots. And they kind of mimic berries. And you see how it just fills in that space. I'm just adding 1, 2, or 3 at a time in different spots until I feel like it looks the way I want it to. And now that I say that, I'm thinking I probably need to do a video for you all where I show you some really nice fillers that you can do. So those little dots is berries, super simple, and then they add so much character and just fill up the space with the flowers. But there are other little fillers that you can do too. So let me know if you want to see a video of how I do these kind of like easy doodly fillers as well. So I'm feeling like the lettering there is missing something, and I'm going to go in, and this is my first time doing this, but I love it so much you'll probably see it again. I'm adding those scripty lines as kind of like a second shadow around those drop lines that I've done before. I just went in and tried this. I can't even believe that I just like randomly decided to do this on the page, but I love it so much, so I'm happy that I did choose to do this. And again, same idea. Pick your pen up when you feel like you need to, make little dots, push down for a little bit of pressure, come up for a little bit of pressure. And I think these scripty looking lines are actually really good to help you learn brush lettering too, especially because these are the pens that I recommend for beginners, and sometimes they can be a little tricky because they are a hard tip, so you have to be so intentional about pushing down. But these little script lines that I'm doing help you get the hang of the feel of what it feels like to press down and come up slowly and get the kind of stroke that you want to without feeling like you messed anything up. So yeah, try this out too. Just make little scripty lines with your Tombow brush pen. I love the way that that turned out. So now I'm going to go in and add just like some highlights. I do this all the time with my lettering too. I have this Jelly Roll white gel pen that you all know is also in my pouch of things that I keep with me all the time, but it wasn't showing up as much as I wanted it to. So I pulled out this acrylograph by Archer and Olive. These are actually acrylic pens, and these are bullet tips. I do not actually have any calligraphs that are the brush tip acrylic pens from Archer and Olive. But as you can see, you shake it up. I've activated these before, so I just shook it this time and didn't have to like press down and get the ink to flow. But you see that I'm getting a much brighter white there with just one pass. So this was like beautiful and I loved it so much. I'm also going in to add like some streaks on the tablet down there to show like kind of like the light hitting on it, just adding a highlight to that tablet. Now I'm gonna go in on the calendar side and add color over there. So I decided that instead of doing all of the dates and numbers in one color, that I actually wanted it to be super colorful and alternate those colors. I realized that I had 7 colors out, so I was able to do each column with a different color. It worked out perfectly to get all of those colors down on the page and make sure that this page matched the other side and wasn't too heavy with one color or the other. I'm taking the tip of the Tombow Fudonosuke again and doing these mono weight letters. And also I decided that it kind of looks like something is missing on that other side with the flowers. I have so much of that scripty brush style that I felt like I needed to add a little bit of black and scriptiness around those flowers. So I'm just going back in and kind of filling in a few of the spaces where I can get this scripty look. I'm not really committed to outlining the whole thing. I want to kind of see how it looks to just add a few pieces in there. And I like how that looks. I feel like it is doing what I needed it to do and just adding a little bit of a pop of the script lines around those flowers. Again, this is my first time ever doing this and I did it on camera in my spread. I'm proud of myself for letting go of a little bit of my perfectionism, and you guys get to see it real time of me trying out new things. So I'm going in with that mono eraser to get rid of some of those pencil marks behind the lettering, and I wanted to add a little bit of color to that quote right behind those words that I wanted to pop out a little bit. Now I'm going and I'm doing little bitty circles around each of the numbers. I don't care if they're perfect. I actually don't want them to be perfect. And I'm alternating the colors so that I don't have any of the same color beside itself. And I really liked how this turned out. I'm not sure if I've actually done this in any one of my Bujo spreads this year. So there are a lot of firsts in this spread. And I really enjoy how all of this turned out. And that's the whole setup, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you leave me a comment, like this video, and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Come on over to IHavePlansForYou.com because there's a whole entire exclusive community that you get free access to just for subscribing to emails. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.